Hello, happy Earth Day. Today's April 22nd, and this is Coronavirus Update by Heerak Show. Welcome to my show. And today we celebrate 21st day anniversary since the start of the show. So if you want to check out our previous shows, please feel free to do that. All the episodes are up on Heerak Christian Kim for you. U.S. Congress YouTube channel. Welcome to see all of them, see it over and over again. You will learn a lot of things that will help you and share this show program with your family, friends, co-workers, neighbors, so that they can survive COVID-19. Things are getting pretty bad. Yeah. But I'm here to help you. Today we will be talking about new and improved COVID-19. We have some interesting stuff, such as there are now over 30 strands, different strands of COVID-19 around the world. And COVID-19 is evolving, joy, joy. It may be joy for COVID-19 because it's growing and evolving to survive. But COVID-19 survival means that more people die because COVID-19 goes into human beings and kill the host. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. So stay tuned. So welcome to today's show. And we're going to start by going to daily death rate. So, good news and bad news. Good news is that in the 24 hours, death rate has dropped from over 2,000 to under 2,000. So yesterday, from yesterday to today, in 24 hours, we had 1,601 deaths. So the total death rate went from 45,039 yesterday to 46,640 today. So the good news is that not as many people died in this 24 hours as the 24 hours before then. The bad news is it's still very high, 1,601. Confirmed cases kind of went down as well. It's around 16,000. So that's a difference from what happened before, but that highlights the fact that if confirmed cases went down and death rate is still pretty high, over 1,600, then it seems like maybe coronavirus is becoming more deadly. So it's actually a bad news. Confirmed cases is 824,147. And today, 24 hours later, it is at 840,897. So, in order to look at how bad it is in America, we got to compare America to other countries just to get a reference point on how bad it is in America. I remember when this coronavirus started, people were saying, we're in this together. The whole world is suffering from coronavirus. Coronavirus doesn't discriminate. And I heard all these things, and you probably heard this too, but those are all lies. Coronavirus does discriminate. More people are dying in America. Less people are dying in Asia. And today we see that less people are dying in Latin America. So obviously, if less are dying in certain areas and more are dying in other areas, and COVID-19 does discriminate. It's a discriminator. It's discriminating. It discriminates. And so everybody's not suffering the same way, obviously. So we're not in this together, really. Let's be honest here. Some areas are suffering more, other areas are suffering less. So we're not in it together. So let's be honest about that from the start. The whole world is not suffering at the same extent. US is suffering the most right now, Europe and USA. what we call the Western civilization is suffering a lot. Asia, Eastern civilization isn't suffering almost at all. We have like hundreds dying, or maybe like today, I think South Korea had 0 die. I mean, they're not suffering at all. I mean, for them, it's nothing. Asian civilizations are not really suffering. Um, and we see today Latin American civilization isn't suffering that much either, right? Look at this. I mean, the greatest number of deaths is in Brazil, 2,924 deaths. They have 46,182 cases. Hardly anyone's dying. I mean, how many people are getting this thing in Brazil? I mean, it has the most cases, but compared to the United States, it's like nothing. And second place, Peru, we see like they have 9,250 cases. Death is only at 530. So we're suffering. America's suffering. Europe is suffering. Latin America apparently isn't really suffering. Chile has 11,296 cases and 160 deaths. That's it, 160 deaths. That's like nothing in the whole scheme of things. And Ecuador, you have 10,850 cases and 537 deaths. Mexico, you have 10,544 cases, 970 deaths. So even there, I mean, among the 3 countries with around similar numbers of 11,000, Mexico has the most number of deaths. Still, it's not that much, So that puts it into perspective. We are suffering. America's suffering a lot in terms of death, economic hit. We got hit a lot, but it's not like that in other countries. So that's something that you got to know as Americans, because we're in here in America and we're experiencing all this death and pain. And we think like everybody's suffering to the same extent, and that's just not true. America's suffering, Europe is suffering, everywhere else, they're not really suffering. So next time you hear a politician say the whole world is suffering together, you have to just start shaking your head and say, no, not really. No, because you've seen what? You've seen Heerak show, COVID-19 update by Heerak. I mean, you have seen my show, so your eyes are opened. You have become wise. You have knowledge now that other people don't have because you watch this show. And that's why you should watch my show every day. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Do not miss a show. You watch it every day. You tell your family, your friends, your coworkers, neighbors to watch it every day, because you get the whole global perspective. And I give you insights from science, nursing, pharmacological perspectives, social scientific perspective, historical perspectives, spiritual perspectives, theological perspectives, political perspectives, international relations perspectives, social services perspectives, public health perspectives, and more. Jewish history perspectives, right? I've talked about that in previous shows. So this is the 21st episode. So you can see previous episodes to catch up on all the exciting things that you might have missed so far. So see, you're much wiser and more knowledgeable because of this show. And hopefully that will help you survive. The flag over there is Brazilian flag, for those of you who didn't know. Now, today we're discussing this question or a topic, evolution of COVID-19. A new and improved COVID-19 emerges. Now, obviously, we human beings, especially in the United States of America, who got the short end of the stick, we are suffering, we are getting infected, we are dying from this COVID. So, COVID is our predator. This little teeny weeny invisible virus is our predator. It's a little embarrassing, I know, I feel you. I feel how you feel. You know, this little invisible virus being our predator. Uh, it is a little bit embarrassing, but remember, you know, dinosaurs were big and powerful, but they were killed. And one of the theories is that virus killed them off. You know, there are several theories. They said ice age, you know, killed them off. Some are saying ice age melting killed them off. You know, there are different theories. One of the theories is that virus killed them off. You know, um, hopefully they won't be saying that about us in America. You know, going at this rate, we don't have any vaccines and we don't have any cure, and thousands are dying every day. Oh, geez, you know, let's say you have 1,000 die every day in 365 days, you have 356,000 deaths, right? Um, so, yeah, that's not good. And Harvard School of Public Policy said this is going to continue for a couple of years, and they're frantically working to develop a vaccine. Um, and they said the earliest vaccine is at least a year or year and a half, maybe 2 years away, if we're lucky. Now, so that's our perspective. We are the human beings. We are burying our dead. Um, New York is cremating their dead, and they need help to cremate the dead because so many people are dying every day. Yeah, that's the reality we see in New York. In yesterday's episode, I talked a lot about New York and what's going on there. And for those of you who have seen my show yesterday, I'm predicting that about 1 million people will die before August because I am foreseeing an exponential growth. Um, you know, especially as summer hits, you know, people are going to venture outside. They're going to, you know, socialize, maybe do the bird and the bee kind of thing. And, you know, it's going to explode. You know, if COVID-19 is a 365 days a year evergreen virus, then we're probably going to have a steep spike in deaths in the summer. Some are saying it's seasonal, so it's going to start waning and dying before summer, but there is no proof for that, and it seems like it's continuing. So, you know, we still have to see. It's not summer yet. June is summer. So we'll see what happens. Some experts are saying the second wave will be tougher and more deadly. And some are saying it's going to be combined with the flu season. So not only will coronavirus 19, COVID-19 be deadly, it's going to kind of combine with influenza, and you're going to be hit double whammy. So more people will die because of the double whammy effect. So there's different theories about what's going to happen in the fall, but I think most experts are agreed. A lot of people are going to die. A lot more people will die in the fall 2020, going into winter 2021, than people have died in this cycle. Now, as I said, you know, we Americans, we are at the short end of the stick. We are the prey. We're being preyed upon by the predator. Little viruses that are invisible, we can't even see. They are our predators, and so they are seeking us out. They come into us through the breathing when we breathe them in, or somebody at you, and then it goes into our eyeballs, or you know, so it enters our body somehow when somebody chews, you know, COVID-19 into us, or we breathe it in, and we get infected, and then COVID-19 goes into our organs, and they latch onto our DNA reproductive mechanism and start, you know, creating itself, integrating into our own DNA, and that's what RNA viruses do. So this is one of these viruses that are kind of predatory and parasitic, but not really parasitic because they don't eat much off of our organs, but they latch onto our DNA developing mechanism, and they are reproduced inside our bodies using our own mechanism, and so you know, our bodies get hijacked basically by COVID-19. at least our DNA creating mechanism. So it creates more of itself and we get infected and it could become systemic. So we are the prey. COVID-19 is the predator. Predator preying upon human beings. And so now, put yourself in the shoes of COVID-19. It's always important to think of yourself in the position of your enemy or the position of your predator. Now, if you're a prey and you want to survive, you have to put yourself in the shoes of the predator because predator is trying to kill you. You, the prey, are trying to escape. So some of you may be hunters. I support the National Rifle Association and American right to bear arms. I support American right to have assault weapons, semi-automatic assault weapons. And the reason I support that is because it's the Second Amendment in the U.S. Constitution. And secondly, in times like this, national emergencies, individuals and families have to be able to defend themselves against criminals, robbers, rapists, anybody who wants to invade your home. You have to be able to protect yourself. And it could be an individual who's invading your home. It could be a gang. It could be a group of people. So just having a little handgun may not do it, especially if you live out in rural areas or farm areas or isolated areas and you have a group of people coming. You need that, you need the M16 type of a semi-automatic assault rifle or automatic assault rifle to kind of finish them off before they hurt your family, right? So I definitely support assault rifles, the family's right to have them for defensive purposes, obviously, to defend their families. And so, especially in a national emergency like this, it becomes very important for Americans to be able to buy and buy the guns and the ammo, and to be able to get training as well. Because some may not have used any weapons, but in a time of emergency, you have to learn to use the weapons right away. So hopefully these essential workers who are selling guns for Americans to protect themselves are also providing training services so that they could be trained in terms of how to use the weapons, securely store the weapons, so that there's safety involved. And so, yeah. So those of you who have hunted know that as a predator, that you're a hunter, so you're a predator, you're trying to hunt a deer, you know what you have to do. Sometimes you sit on that tree. I have a friend in Delaware, and he goes deer hunting, and he tells me like he gets a belt, he ties himself to a tree, and he's like 15 feet above ground, and he's like sitting there on the tree with his rifle, waiting for a deer to come by. I'm like, what? You wait like hours on a tree for a deer to come by? I mean, I'm not a hunter, so I don't find it very exciting or interesting, but he loves it. I mean, he says like, oh yeah, this weekend I sat up on the tree and I was just like waiting for hours, and then I saw the deer and I just shot it and killed it, And he gets excited, but I mean, I could see why shooting and killing a deer can be fun if you're a hunter. But like sitting on a tree for hours waiting for the deer, it sounds boring to me. But I guess hunters like it. So yeah, and he was like hunting by himself. I mean, he was on that tree by himself. But so he's like the predator, and the deer that is not even visible is the prey. And so he's waiting for the deer to come, and then he kills the deer. And so think of it like that. COVID-19 is your predator. The primary purpose of COVID-19 is to kill you. That's why COVID-19 exists. And just like my friend, Jacob, who in Delaware, who sits on the tree in order to kill a deer that he doesn't even know exists in his nearby area, just hoping that he will come near the tree so he could kill it. That's how COVID is. COVID is out there and he wants to kill you because COVID is the hunter, it's the predator, you are the prey. Now, COVID-19 may not know you personally. Just like Jacob may not know the deer personally that he's going to kill. But Jacob's waiting for the deer to come by so they could kill it. Just like COVID-19 is waiting for you to come by so COVID-19 can infect you and kill you. Do you see how that works? So yesterday's show, I talked about how you could have a situation where nobody is getting infected, and COVID-19 is out there like Jacob, waiting and waiting for somebody to come, so COVID-19 can infect you. And let's say you get all comfortable and you get all feeling a sense of security, and you kind of mosey out along, not thinking that there's anybody out there, not knowing that Jacob is high up there on the tree, waiting for you to just kind of walk by and start grazing on the grass near the tree. The poor deer doesn't know what's going on, and the next thing he hears is bang, bullet going through his head. Jacob's bullet. So the poor deer dies, and that's how it is. Now, COVID-19 is the predator, the hunter waiting to do you in. You're the prey. And COVID-19 is willing to wait patiently for hours, maybe days, for months, maybe, longer than that, for you to just come out of your comfort zone, and then, bam, you're going to get infected, you're going to feel it, you're going to stop breathing, and then you die. So obviously Jacob, the hunter in Delaware, he tries to make himself a better hunter. So what does he do? He sits on the tree and he tries not to make a noise, because if he makes some noise, maybe they'll scare the deer off. So he tries to make himself into a more efficient hunter. And so he is quietly sitting up there. And he tries to figure out a way to lure the deer to his location. And so he studies it, thinks about it, and he's trying to figure out a way to lure the prey so he can kill the prey. And if you've seen nature shows, today is Earth Day, and part of Earth Day, I like the ocean. I love ocean more than anything else. So yes, I love the Earth, but I guess, without the ocean, Earth wouldn't exist. So that's why I'm wearing my March for the Ocean shirt. Yeah, we had a march in Washington, D.C. And so we march for the ocean. I love the ocean. But we see that when you see nature shows of lions hunting gazelles, or panda bear, or panda bear doesn't actually do much hunting. I guess they eat bamboo shoots, but like the polar bears, I guess they hunt seals. And so you see these nature shows when the predator hunts the prey, and you know how it is. Nature shows, they have this narrator, and then they have all these scenes. Kind of, I don't know. I enjoy watching them because it's part of nature, right? It's part of Earth. The cycle of life. So I enjoy watching these nature shows, and the whole world is made up of prey and predator. So a predator can also become a prey, right? That's why we call it the cycle of life, right? And so it's kind of like a frog eating a fly, and the frog gets eaten by a snake, right? So, and the human being eats a snake. In Wild West, I guess, or in Westward Expansion, I guess they eat snakes then, right? I don't know. I've never eaten a snake, so I don't know how it tastes. But if you see Western shows, you see them eating like snakes. So you have this cycle of life going on, and you understand what the predator and prey relationship is like. And the predator is always trying to become a better predator. Prey is always trying to escape better. So when we wear this mask, and we're walking around with our mask on, we're trying to be a better predator so that we don't get killed by we're trying to be the better prey so we don't get killed by the predator, which is COVID-19, right? So, and social distancing is one way we try to become a smarter prey so we don't die. at the hand of our predator, which is COVID-19. But obviously, COVID-19 is a predator, it's a hunter, it's a killer. So COVID-19 tries to modify itself within the rules of science, within its natural setting, in order to be a better killer. So we in America, we want to survive COVID-19, but our predator, we're the prey, our predator COVID-19 wants to kill as many Americans as possible. So COVID-19 is going to try to make itself more efficient as a predator or hunter. And we see from these two articles how COVID-19 is doing that right now. The first article from Fox News by Christopher Carbone, or maybe it's Carboni, I guess it's an Italian name. Its title is called Coronavirus Has Mutated into at least 30 different strains, study finds. Obviously, one way to be a more efficient killer is to have many different strands, right? That way, you know, everybody has different weaknesses and different strengths biologically. So more strands you have, the more you could capitalize on the weaknesses of some, right? So some who may be more resistant to 10 different strands can be done in by the other 20 strands, you see? I got a vaccine, flu shot last year in order to protect myself, but I ended up getting the flu anyway. And I suffered and suffered, and that flu developed into acute bacterial bronchitis. And I took antibiotics. I suffered and suffered more. I shared that with you in my previous episode. And, you know, I told, you know, my fellow CNL, clinical nurse leader, I'm in this program at the School of Nursing and Health Study at Georgetown University. As I told you, I'm doing a master's degree. And the program itself is called Clinical Nurse Leader Program. And so I told my friends at my Clinical Nurse Leader program, we're all due to graduate in summer 2020. And Billy, one of the three males in our program, so we have like 26 students in our cohort. Cohort is like a group of people who go through the program together, start the program together, and graduate together. And so there are 26 people in the cohort, and 23 of them are women. And then there are 3 males. There's me, Heerak, and then there's Billy, who's African American, and Grant, who's white American. And Billy's from Texas, and Grant is from North Carolina. I'm from Philadelphia originally, you know, in the context of US. I was born in Korea. I immigrated here when my father took a call to be a senior pastor of a Korean Presbyterian church in Philadelphia. And I was just telling my cohort members, and Billy was saying, Billy is a really smart guy. You know, he went to U.S. Naval Academy, and he's an officer in the U.S. Navy. And so he's like served, I guess, almost 20 years. And he's in our program right now. And so he's planning to serve in the Veterans Affairs Hospital. I think that's his plan. But yeah, he's a brilliant guy. But he's like, you know why you got that? You got the flu, and I'm like, okay. And he's like, yeah, because you probably got, and I had influenza A flu. So he's like, you probably got the vaccine for influenza B. So yes, you got the flu shot, but it just protects from the B strand, not the A strain. And most flu shots are either A strain flu shots or B strain flu shots. That's what Billy was telling me. This, U.S. Navy, U.S. Naval Academy grad, naval officer. So he's like, yeah, you probably got the A strand because you had the flu shot for the B strand. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, it makes logical sense, right? I didn't ask the person giving me vaccines, like, what strand is this? But I obviously, it wasn't a flu shot for an A strain. Although I've heard even if you get flu shot for the A strain, you can still get it because I think flu, even A strands can mutate throughout the season. flu season, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not an expert of like flu, flu influenza, but from what I've read, I think even during one flu season, strands can mutate. In which case, even if you had a flu shot for that strand originally, when it mutates, it could still infect you because it mutated. And so when we look at COVID-19, I think my little story with my influenza A, I've suffered this year 2020. I was like, before going in to get tested, I was kind of afraid that it was, COVID-19. Like when they, when the nurse practitioner told me that it was influenza, I'm like, whoa, thank God. But it turned out to be pretty horrible. I suffered a lot through that influenza A, and then it developed into acute bacterial bronchitis. A lot of Americans die every year from influenza, and that's why every one of you should get a flu shot. Um, you know, I wonder if we get both, strand A and strand B flu shot. Because every year I just get one flu shot. But and that's an interesting question. After what Billy said, I'm sort of thinking about that now. But yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So so with this article, I mean it's showing what is possible. If there are 3 different strains, and let's say they develop the vaccine like a year or 2 years from now, for one of the strains or a few of the strains, you can still get COVID even with a vaccine that works. And obviously, experts are saying it's going to be a long time before they develop a vaccine, if ever. But I'm saying even if they develop it now, because coronavirus has mutated into 30 different strands, and it's probably going to mutate more and more, even if you get the vaccine, you could probably still get COVID, which is a disturbing thing. And every strand may act differently in some way. So that's another problem. So an important quote from Fox News is, the results showed that medical officials have vastly underestimated the overall ability of the virus to mutate, in finding that different strands have affected different parts of the world, leading to potential difficulties in finding an overall cure. Yeah, so I think a lot of people are still underestimating COVID-19. Maybe you're underestimating COVID-19, thinking like you're not going to get it. Yeah, I would highly encourage you not to think too lightly of COVID, because it's killing thousands of Americans every day. So yeah, but that's bad news. Now we have a new and improved COVID-19, which can evade vaccines, right? Because there's so many different strands. It's probably going to, who knows, by the time vaccine comes out, we may have over 100 strands. We just don't know. Second article, COVID-19 causes sudden strokes in young adults, doctors say. And that article is from today, and CNN, Maggie Fox. The quote in the article that I thought was kind of important is, Dr. Thomas Oxley, a neurosurgeon at Mount Sinai Health System in New York, and that system has been hit pretty hard with COVID patients. And colleagues gave details of 5 they have treated. There are 5. So that's a lot in just one hospital in a short period of time. All were under the age of 50, and all had either mild symptoms of COVID-19 infection or no symptoms at all, which is disturbing. So they had stroke in their brain. And you see the photo right below that, in the blue man with red. That's like stroke, blood clot. Blood clot in your brain is what causes the stroke. And so these are healthy young people in their 30s, and some in 40s, who are developing this stroke because of COVID-19. And they don't have previous history of stroke or any kind of problems related with that. They're healthy 30-year-olds who are developing this condition. So let's say you have no symptoms or mild symptoms and you're at home and you actually have COVID, you may drop dead from a stroke. And when you go to the hospital, they may say, well, you died of a stroke, but you actually died of COVID that caused the stroke. So essentially, it's COVID that killed you, but because you died because of the stroke that happened, because you were infected with COVID, you may be diagnosed as being dead through stroke. In which case, they may not add you to the death tally. So the number of people dying from COVID-19 may be much larger. But obviously, COVID-19 is evolving because, um, and scientists have not been able to study this because it seems like they're doing things to our organ systems that are not reported in China and other countries before. So it seems like it's a modification of the damage that COVID-19 is doing because in the previous reports, it was mostly respiratory. Like if you see the doctors from Italy talking about it, they said it's a severe pneumonia and they haven't really seen too many stroke cases. So it seems like it's a new development and it may be from one of the new strands, which indicates evolution or mutation of the original COVID-19 into a strand that can cause strokes besides respiratory system. So it's attacking a different part of the body. Respiratory system is your lungs. Your clot in your brain is your brain. It's a neurological system. So it seems to be evolving as a predator to kill its prey. That's us. So COVID-19 seems to be mutating to become a superior predator, and that's a problem because it will end up killing more people when it's not just killing through the respiratory problem, but neurological problems. And today I saw on CBS News, one of the experts in New York who's studying this talk about how a lot of the COVID-19 patients that have been taken care of that she's been studying had highly elevated liver enzymes. So her theory was that COVID-19 now is attacking liver directly. So there may be a different strand that is kind of targeting the liver. And liver is important is because liver is where most of the drugs that you take become metabolized, meaning without liver, the drug you take will not work in your body. So I have a friend, Elder Han from my dad's church. He used to work in Atlanta, Georgia in the FBI building. And he used to make sandwiches for FBI agents. So that's what he did in Atlanta, Georgia after moving there from Philadelphia. And he had cancer and he survived cancer through chemotherapy. But he took too many Tylenol, and Tylenol, if you take more than 4 grams or 4,000 milligrams per day, it could kill your liver. And he was in pain, so he took too many Tylenol, and that destroyed his liver. And that's how he died. So he survived cancer, but he died because his liver didn't work anymore. And so if COVID-19 destroys your liver, you can't really take any medication that are metabolized in the liver. And majority of the medications are metabolized in the liver. It's generally either liver or the kidney. And so majority are the liver. So if COVID-19 targets your liver, you can't really take any medication that it's metabolized in the liver because you need all medication to be metabolized for you to enjoy the benefits of that medication. So if you take, let's say, a medication, it doesn't get metabolized, it just goes through to your poop. It doesn't help you at all. And so you die because it's not help, the medication is not working because your liver is shot. So COVID-19 seems to be evolving to destroy your liver, which is a serious problem because it seems like COVID-19 used to be primarily targeting the respiratory system or your lungs. But now we're finding strands, perhaps strands that COVID is mutating so quickly and it's doing so much damage and people don't know really anything about it. Most experts don't even know 5% of what COVID-19 is and does. And it's mutating. So can you imagine? I mean, that's like a whole new field of knowledge that has to be tapped into. You could probably write a PhD dissertation for 6 years on just one strand, 1 out of the 30. And you would not even cover half of, even 1/10 of what you You could, I mean, 6 years of PhD, you may cover like 1% of the knowledge, or based on one strand of the 30 COVID. So you gotta see how complex this is. And so the predator is becoming more clever in the way it is seeking out its prey and killing its prey. And COVID-19 is the predator. And another way it's becoming more clever is now it's infecting animals. So that's probably a different strand, or a form of a mutation that's allowing it to infect pets. And we've seen this early as a couple months ago in Hong Kong. And then we've seen in Belgium, and now it's kind of starting in America with the pets. We had zoo animals in Bronx Zoo get COVID-19, and those strands will probably mutate to become more deadly as well. But right now, as of today, we had 2 pet cats who got infected with COVID in New York. One had an owner who had COVID, who probably gave it to the pet. Another cat from a completely different area of New York did not have an owner who had infection, but they're thinking like when the cat was outside, it might got infected by another human being. But experts don't know if animals can infect other animals. So look at the guideline the CDC gave. This is the announcement they put out today. Confirmation of COVID-19 in 2 pet cats in New York, CDC. So it's an official confirmation. And this is the suggestion they gave, verbatim from the CDC website. Until we know more, CDC recommends the following. Number 1, do not let pets interact with people or other animals outside the household, because CDC doesn't know exactly how pets get COVID. So CDC is thinking maybe pets can get it from pet. Let's say your dog, Fido, can get infected from another person's dog, Pinky. We don't know. We just don't know. So CDC is now giving official recommendation that you just keep your pet animal away from other human beings and other animals. Number 2, keep cats indoors when possible to prevent them from interacting with other animals or people. So don't send your cat out of your house for any reason now, because they still don't know if animals with COVID-19 can infect human beings or not. They just don't know yet. Number 3, walk dogs on a leash, maintaining at least 6 feet from other people and other animals. Yeah. So if you're a dog walker, it's an issue. Number 4, avoid dog parks or public places where a large number of people and dogs gather. Yeah, no dog parks. And so, yeah, see, for many, many days, a lot of people assume that dogs cannot or cats cannot get infected. And I've been saying from the very beginning, animals can get infected. If a bat infected a human being, as the theory goes, obviously humans can infect animals, right? It could go both ways. And in genetics class that I took in my master's program in the School of Nursing and Health Studies at Georgetown, my program is Clinical Nurse Leader program. So we focus on the clinical aspects of becoming a leader in the clinical setting. We learned in the genetics class that the genetical composition of human beings and animals are nearly identical, except for like 2 or 3% difference, if I remember correctly. It's not illogical or it's scientifically feasible that infection can go both ways. And if we see bubonic plague or black plague in the Middle Ages, the rats who carried the plague and gave it to human beings when human beings were isolating in their homes. This is a problem, especially for areas which are rat infested, like New York City or Washington, D.C., because if rats can get infected with COVID and then can give it to human beings, even if you're safe at home, you're not really safe at home. Is what I'm saying. Because rats can carry it and give it to you. But so COVID-19 is kind of mutating and developing to become more deadly, more of a predator, which is kind of a clever predator, which is bad for us. And we need to be more clever to survive this predator, COVID-19. So that's an issue. I encourage you to watch this show every day because I give you information that will help you set your rat traps if you have rats in the building. Uh, yeah, protect yourself. If you have a pet dog or pet cat, make sure you take precautions because, I've been saying from the very beginning, if you saw my show on pets several weeks ago, you would be protecting yourself, right? Because I told you to protect yourself on my show when I discussed pets and COVID. So you see how I help you survive COVID? Now CDC's come around, it's saying what I'm saying, but I said this weeks ago. Now people who have listened to me weeks ago, they're probably safer than people who haven't. And there are people who don't even know that CDC has put out this advisory. And now you know because in my show, COVID-19 Update with Heerak, I give you the information you need to survive. You, your family, your parents, your cousins, your friends, your coworkers, those who love cats and dogs or have animals in their home, watch this show because I will help you survive. I will help you survive. So subscribe to my channel and watch this show religiously every day. And don't forget to vote for me on November 3rd, 2020 in the general elections. I'm running as an independent candidate for U.S. Congress against the current Congressman Don Beyer, who is a Democrat. I'm independent, and I think he had a town hall today. I was kind of busy, so I couldn't, kind of participate in the town hall. But yeah, I mean, you should ask him questions about COVID. I mean, this region is suffering, and they say out of like over 10,000 cases of COVID-19 in Virginia, 50% of it is in this area, Northern Virginia. So Virginia 8th District, Virginia 10th District, Virginia 11th District, we're like at the epicenter of COVID-19. Right now, cases are increasing. Soon the deaths will come. When the deaths come in exponential growth, we'll see a lot of people from Arlington, Alexandria, Falls Church, and Fairfax County dying from COVID. Hopefully, I'm hoping it won't happen, but I created this show to save your life, to save you and your family from death by COVID. And so watch this show religiously, recommend it to your friends and family. And I'm running for U.S. Congress because I know I will be a great leader for you. I will upgrade your family, your children, your grandchildren. So vote for me. Look for my name, Heerak, because I'm independent. You got to look for my name, Heerak. And then you just cast a vote in my name on November 3rd, 2020 at general elections. I hope this show was helpful for you. I created this show to help you, and today's episode was 21st day. It's been 21 days since I started this show, so I called it the Blackjack episode. And so, yeah, so hopefully you'll be lucky like Blackjack, and you will survive this COVID. Obviously, I'm a Christian, so I don't really believe in luck. I believe that God controls everything, and everything that happens for a reason. And for me, it's comforting to know God and have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. It kind of, reduces anxiety and fear because, you trust in God and as a Christian, and you talk to God, and God gives you comfort, and God's in control. And so try to follow God's law, because when you obey God's law, good things happen. When you disobey God's law, bad things happen. That's the biblical system, right? That's what Genesis to Revelation emphasize about God. So for me, it's this world is not that complicated. If I live according to God's will, I receive blessing. If I live against God's will, then God's going to chastise or punish for violating His law. You know, life is simpler when you understand the spiritual system that's in place. And I believe that this spiritual system is the actual reality that you may not see, but reality that exists. So you know, you can wade through the world a little bit more easily. And obviously, in this show, I'm trying to give you some scientific information, social information, political information, international relations information that can also help you as well. So I hope you enjoy this show. Tune in tomorrow, and I hope your family, your children, your parents, uh, your family, extended family, cousins, um, your relatives, second, third, fourth cousins. I hope that all of you will survive. Encourage them to watch my show, and I hope that you will be well and that your family will be well. See you tomorrow.